Is that such a crime?
Well, hello there. You can call me Irido, and for reasons you don't need to concern yourself with, I am partially qualified to talk about this. So, let's do it. This is a non-armies feelings and predictions for Arirang. Let's get started. First, the disclaimer. I do not consider myself an army despite having such beautiful items as this. Simply because I have not been bestowed the title by someone else, nor have I been into BTS very deeply. I'm more of other styles kind of girl, but I am not blind and I do possess a heart. So I am absolutely aware the impact they had because I felt it. That is for the next part. Wait, to know more about that, how a random girl in Mexico City, like almost 10 years ago, no, 10 years ago, knew about these boys when I didn't even speak English yet, nevertheless Korean. So, I think it's the significance of this song and this folklore is better explained by Korean creators that have already done so. I'll put some examples here. I really like the idea of going to the ups and downs of a mountain. So that is my first prediction, or it's not prediction, more an appreciation of Swim. That is the title track for this album. So as we know, K-pop blesses us by being in two languages or more, and then we have Swim. And I like, this has a name, and I will put it here, but it's when the visual of a word is relevant to the meaning of a word. This happens more in pictographical writing systems such as Chinese or Japanese, where the little characters of the letters are ideograms. They are small drawings that get synthesized into more abstract things, but in most cases you can still tell it was a drawing first. Languages that use the Roman alphabet usually are not like that because the pictograms were not pictograms, they were meant to represent other things and they evolved differently, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that some words escape that and they still look like what they represent. In this case, swim looks like the waves of the water, which I think will be on this album, not only because of the name of the song, Arirang, that it talks about that, and the folklore songs talks about like the ups and downs and moving through a mountain and longing for a loved one that it's going away. But it was very relevant to me that the title track was Swim, because the title itself is kind of like letting us know what the song will be about. And water also has a lot of significance in different cultures, but it's usually associated with one, life, moving water specifically. Still water had a story of being dangerous to drink, and that is why a lot of European early cultures like drank a lot of beer and fermented things because it was safer to contain than water because it would go stale, and stale water was dangerous, and that is also why people didn't wash, because they were like, oh, that drinking that make us sick, but really like partying will also make us sick. Which kind of makes sense because they also like were in very cold environments, so you could get like pneumonia at the drop of a hat. But that's not the point. The point is that generally water in different cultures is linked to life, especially moving water. And this is relevant because I believe they have gone through a process of rebirth that is often linked to water because of the like cultural and theological connotations it has. They don't have to be strictly theological, but they like evolve enough to the imaginario cultural, so they are present as a symbol of rebirth in different pieces that don't need to have any theological ties to anything to make use of the symbol. So Swim. I also think it's relevant because obviously Korea is and it is a very small place, as in like geographically, it's a very small nation. Geographically, of course, I'm not talking about value or anything because obviously they're amazing. But I think it's relevant that a band of 7 young men talks about swimming, because isn't that kind of what they had to do at the beginning to explain? Namjoon explained a lot that when he started to introduce themselves to other places, it's like, oh, where are you from? Oh, from Korea. Oh, South Korea or North Korea? Like, people were not aware of them, and they had to swim so many times to like reach this degree of understanding and awareness. So they had to go through water and reach other places to have the opportunity for their music to be heard and performed as they meant it. They wanted it to be. And I'm excited for this track. I'm also think they are very encouraging towards ARMY. That is like not the whole thing, but an important part of their artistic proposal. And I do believe that Swim will have a little bit of that. Just keep swimming, you know? Nemo. Alright, so talking about swimming, we have the teaser of the video that I don't know if I'm going to be able to put up because I don't want to get sniped by Hive executive for using their video. But something lovely I noticed in the video was pores. Pores, skin, texture, lines, eyebrows. I don't have a lot of those, as you can tell. Feeling, humanity. Why is this important? Why am I so intense about Namjoon's pore and little eyebrow thinking that you grow when you file your eyebrows and they start growing back, and sometimes you try to look it out, but you don't, and you hurt your skin and then you have like a little scar there. Why I am so intense about these beautiful people's pores? Isn't that a little bit too much? Maybe, but I mean it respectfully, and I'm going to explain why. So afraid of texture. Why are we so afraid of skin? Why? I believe it is a long-standing tradition of way of what is naturally occurring as a sign of status, power, or beauty, sometimes even morality. I'm not saying that is what they are doing, because of course they didn't invent blurring effects and makeup in the Korean pop industry or even in the music industry. But there's this convention of attractiveness that a lot of idols uphold, not because of personal convictions, but because they are birthed into a machine when they start to be inside of the idol trainee system, where the purpose, I believe, is to polish you into something that is so skillful and beautiful that is not human anymore. It has transcended. I've seen a lot of comments that are obviously meant as compliments, but like, I cannot believe we are both humans. They are ethereal. They look like a fairy. They are too beautiful, for example. And I believe this is on purpose. At the end of the day, the beautiful humans that do the music and the performances are not doing them alone. The distribution and logistics of it are oftentimes handled by a company. In the case of BTS, they have a lot of say because their company was not doing okay before them. And I think that played a role, but they were still inside of a larger system that was the idol and the K-pop industry as a whole. So they did not escape the beauty standards or the expectations, the aesthetic expectations that are part of this space. So this is why I'm so intense about the pores that we see in the teaser trailer. I don't know if we're going to see it in the music videos because they are often different, but the fact that they are there makes me very happy, and I'm very intense about it because sometimes we deny people of their humanity because of the parasocial relationships we have formed with them. And in case of BTS specifically, they have become such an icon, such a cultural force for their country. that is almost difficult to not mythologize them. We are not talking about the human beings. We are talking about these larger than life figures that have done so much. And that it's dangerous because we can't forget that they are human beings, and the idea and the perception we have of them on our minds is that our idea and perception is not reality. And it doesn't have to mean that they are fake or lying. Like, I'm not saying anything like that. I do believe they make an effort to be genuine, but that also has limitations because the material conditions that are linked to them are very heavy. They are not only one of the most important groups in history, they are also very important for their company, and that company has shareholders, and those shareholders have interests that can be boiled down to not losing money. So when they are doing their things, I do believe that the company can work hard to provide them a space where they can artistically be free, because they have done so much for them already that it's like the minimum they can do. But I do believe that they also are very aware of what it's put on their shoulders. And that weight is in the back of their minds. Because I don't think we as humans evolved or are designed to have the whole standing of the cultural production of a nation in our shoulders, or the whole main image of a company in our shoulders, like a multi-million-dollar company, by the way. And I do think that that would make you want to pretend or hide your flaws, because they are not just your flaws anymore. They are impacting and can impact a lot of people. So this is why I'm so intense about the pores, because they are showing texture, they are showing humanity, they are showing that they are grown men. The beauty standard, it's a standard because it's unattainable. It's something to strive for. It's something that is meant to leave you wanting, to leave you aspiring to, feeling like you're not going to reach that. There's something missing because it's not made to be reached. It's meant to be aspired to, so you can be sold things like ideas or products or procedures. And the beauty standards change through time, and the beauty standard in the K-pop industry at the moment, it has changed superficially a lot, but I do believe it still is young faces, no texture, angelic beauty. That it's a little bit strange to me, because often the direction is to make people look very young. I'm just gonna leave it there. Why do we need everyone to look like a baby when they are not? This is an industry-wide thing, of course, not like individuals or groups, because they have no control over that. And it's a very cutthroat space. So, of course, you are made to feel that if you are not meeting the standards, you will be called and forgotten and left with debt. So, that is why I'm so intense about this. A dear intellectual known as Mathpat once said, "What do you do when you cannot go bigger? You go deeper." He was talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, after Endgame, a lot of things happened. I couldn't keep track with it. But after Endgame, their bet was not to try to make bigger things, because in a way they couldn't. It was with the materials and resources they had, they already had their climax. They could not do that again without exhausting audiences. So what they started to do instead was going deeper. Stories that were about the psyche, the emotions, the processes, the complexities, the things that we maybe not think about when we see a superhero movie, punch, wow, action, amazing. What they were thinking, what would that do to a person? What does it mean to be frozen and then resurface into a society that has moved on completely, but your physically are not old? What would going through so many devastating losses do to a person that is so intrinsically powerful? What would it happen when grief manifests at the same strength that other people lives it, but this one can be exteriorized in a way that it will affect reality outside as it affects reality inside a person. I do believe that that is what is happening here, and that is why we have wars. They are peeling back, they are revealing, they are being more upfront. They are saying, we are grown, we are human beings. These are our struggles, these are our feelings, and I do believe that it's very powerful. They have power that not many people get, let alone wield possibly. And I am very curious to see how I'm not moral judge of anything. I cannot. I do believe they have done what they believe is best, and I think that's important. And I am very curious to see if they hold that to talk about their own struggles and in a way give permission, indirectly of course, to the whole industry to do the same. It has not been done before, but the K-pop market is very cutthroat. It is difficult for different things to bloom. So I am very curious to see if by being more vulnerable and showing depth and showing humanity as a reminder that they are not just icons, they are human beings, they will make a shift in the industry. So that's what I believe this whole album will be. The humanity, the materiality of who they are, not the icon, the idol. Idols are not meant to be human. It's in the name. But I believe by showing them up close, without filters, I believe they are going to give a message of remembering who they are for themselves, where they come from, the history of their country, and remembering how they started, not only in their trainee journey, but maybe their own familial journey, and reminding us that they are people, that they are human beings, and sharing those struggles. I believe it will be healing for a lot of people, because nobody gets exempt from feeling, because we're humans. That's a big part of what we do. In our ways, of course, there are people who feel differently or who experience things differently. That doesn't mean they are not feeling in their own way, experiencing in their own way. And I wanted to talk about this. So basically, what I think is that Swim is graphical too, and it's also like a kind of concentrate of what the album is going to be about. That is the ups and downs of not only life and stardom and the responsibility they have as the biggest boy band on the world, this history of the world so far, but also their humanity, and also peeling back a little bit of those layers of image and idolhood to reveal humanity and vulnerability. They couldn't go bigger, flashier, more spectacular. They could, but they decided to go deeper, I believe. That doesn't mean they're not going to put a show, though. I'm so excited for the Netflix live. And finally, I want to share a little bit about what it means to me. As I said at the beginning, I'm not an ARMY. I don't consider myself an ARMY simply because I don't know enough about these young men, and I haven't gotten into the discography that far. I know a little bit of the 3-part album arc. I know that it was based on book. That makes you very excited. But I have a lot of respect and fear for ARMY. So calling myself an ARMY when I don't have all this encyclopedical information and this experience with music besides the hits, it feels not genuine. I'm into a different kind of sound, which doesn't say anything about them. I think they are amazing at what they do. I tried, but I was too confused about it. I didn't speak English that well yet, and the translations that were available were a little bit confusing to me. And it was just a bit overwhelming, and I was younger too. So I tried a lot of times, but because my friends were a lot into like BTS, but I couldn't grasp it, and I was like into other things, so it never came to be. But that doesn't mean that I didn't know and that I was not affected by it. I wanted to tell you a little story. In Mexico, we don't have a lot of money. I hope that changes, but we like original merch is very expensive. It's sometimes prohibitively so. I had a friend who was in love with Justin Bieber's music, and she would save her lunch money for months to be able to afford a ticket and enough for a like jacket or some kind of concert merch. She did this several times. I think the longest we went was like 8 months, I believe. And I say we because she didn't save a part of her lunch money. She saved all of her lunch money. So I shared my lunch with her. And it was a very sweet experience. I was very excited. I knew a lot about the things she liked because of that like effort we were making. So we in Mexico do not take these things lightly. It takes, of course, everybody takes a very strong like material effort to be able to go to the concerts and buy the things. But at least from the place I am from and the way that I experience it, it's not a small thing. That is why we have a very big tradition of unofficial merch. And it's very interesting to see and buy because laws are different here. And this is not like eating away to the market of the artists because the people that buy those things, we couldn't afford the real thing anyways. So there's no like losing here. And even the people that buy the original thing also buy the unofficial merch because it's inexpensive. It's less expensive, so nobody really loses here. Like the people that were going to buy the thing were going to buy it regardless, and the people that buy those things, we were not going to be able to afford it anyways. So that's a disclaimer. I'm telling you all of this because 10 years ago, or even more at this point, I was in high school. I was 13 years old and I have a classmate called Ruth. Shout out to Ruth if she's somehow watching this. Immaculate taste. She had a pencil case that had a pattern of 7 boys that had colorful hair and were Asian. And she loved it very much. She had a lot of things like that. And by then, you couldn't get them just like in your regular mercado. You had to go to the centro to find it and get it, or get someone to get it for you. But that is not small like journey. It is complicated. So see, she really liked them. And I remember it too because some boys in the classroom used to make fun of her. Not like in that bully intensity, just like kind of like annoying bickering that boys do. That is wrong. And I don't think we should allow it as a society because then other things happen. But that's not the point of this. They would tell her, oh, tus chinos, te encantan tus chinos. Ay, tus chinos, traes todos de tus chinos. And she would get very upset and say, yes, I do like them. I do love them a lot, actually. But they are Korean, not Chinese. They are Miss Coreanos. Yes, I love Miss Coreanos. And that was very impactful for me. Because when I was like witness to those interactions, I was like, she likes them. It's fine. Like, what are you making a fuss about? But how adamantly she also defended their national identity. They are Korean, not Chinese. Was nice to see because I never saw that before because the music we were exposed to, people were not from other places that were not the United States. So I was aware of BTS because it is impossible not to be. And I was always in awe of how my friends, most often female friends, were in love and knew so much about this body of work that was so deep and complicated and layered and interconnected and encouraging, and I was in love with their love. Maybe I didn't understand everything, but I did understand love when I see it. And that's what I saw in the eyes of my friends, and like even other people that I didn't know that well, but were friends of my friends, and they would get super excited about it, and they would lit up and when explaining the songs and talking about their favorite member. That was wonderful to see. As I said before, I mean, I wear glasses, but I'm not blind. How can you not be moved by that? And all of this is to say that I'm in awe of the power of army, and especially women. I know not all armies are women or female presenting or binary. Like I am very aware of that fact. But still the fandom is very largely comprised by women. And I want you to know the impact they have, the power they have. Because often in social patriarchal structures, things that women like are deemed as lowbrow, as less, as cheap entertainment, girlish, not that deep. It's not regarded often as real artistry, when the main audience target is women. But that is a lie, because as these young men have proved, and Army has proved, women are deeply, deeply powerful. And just in my country, they organized to fight a very large organization, and they succeeded. Like, they made our president right to the president over there, which was something that I didn't think I was going to know when I woke up that day, but it happened. That's not small feat. And I just wanted to make this kind of like a love letter to BTS as a non-army, because I am very aware what they've done for Korean music and for culture, but also what they have done for us. In Latin America, we have, I don't know if to call it a gift, because it is the product of a very violent process, but the fact that we are united by language. People would fight you about that one too, but in general we can understand each other through very, very big spaces and very large territories. Our language is very, 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 very commonly spoken. So we are culturally interconnected in that way. With the world too. English is a hegemonic language that is kind of the lingua franca of the modern world. It is very widely known. But Korean, the material incentives to learn Korean were very little. Maybe you're not going to earn more money or have more opportunities because you know Korean. So why would you learn? To understand art. To be able to be part of that. And I believe that is wonderful, and that is the power of art and culture and women. But in general, people who are sensitive and love to understand and to interact with art, it makes me so excited. And I want to share a little bit of my personal feelings. I'm from Mexico, born and raised, and it is not a small nation, smaller than some, bigger than others, but it is often misunderstood. And sometimes people don't know a lot about it and have a lot of prejudices about it, or think that everybody that is Latin American is Mexican, which is not good. So I often grew up feeling a little bit misunderstood, because the cultural places and the art I aspired to do never came from here, like besides the obvious exceptions. I didn't see myself anywhere. And I didn't see that any kind of cared about what we did. And by being witness what BTS did for Korea and what armies did for Korea, that obviously was an effort that involved a lot of people. But witnessing what such young men did for such a wonderful nation that is, again, geographically very small, but so culturally powerful, warms my heart, because it might mean that people will also learn how to properly say our names. Or maybe people will also learn that we are more than one thing. And it just warms my heart in a way that I struggle to put into words. But I just think, even as a non-army, it's pride and joy of watching people that are not from the hegemonic places, because I feel like maybe it will open the path for more of us. But most importantly, they will be able to speak and be understood. And I think that's wonderful. I'm so excited for the live next Netflix event. It's going to be so big. I'm very, very excited. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye. I just realized that the microphone stopped recording 14 minutes into my rant, so I'm not going to be able to use that audio. Duh! That's okay. That's fine. It shows me that I have to, check things. And I learned how to clean the audio on this thing. So that's not so bad. I'm afraid of how long it's going to take to edit this video. But I'm gonna try really hard. I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna try to have fun. I just hope that you could hear me, because sometimes I spoke very, 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 low. But that's fine. Everything is fine. We're okay. We're okay. This is my pajama also. I don't know if you can tell. I just woke up also. I don't know if you can tell by the voice too. But I did a video because my soul was screaming to me to do it. It could also have been anxiety, but it was mostly excitement. I really want to do this. But that's it. Now I have to turn everything off and have some breakfast so I don't faint, because I have things to do. Where is the button? There it is. There we go. That's it.